Hi guys, welcome to Union 3D Printing. My name is Chris and today we're going to build an Ender 3 V2. The information I'm going to tell you guys about how to build this machine properly will also apply for the Ender 3 and the Ender 3 Pro. Alright guys, let's jump right into it.
Alright guys, let's unbox this thing and get going. You want to be careful removing the components from the box, and I like to lay everything out and get the instruction manual going to follow along with. You start with the larger aluminum extrusions and make sure to have the bolt holes facing downwards. I like to just snug the bolts at this point. I don't put them all the way tight. I come back and do that all at the end. It helps for making the frame completely square relative to its body. I know I'm not following the manual exactly, but this is how I build it, guys. Next, we've got the Z motor mount. Again, I don't tighten this completely at this point. I'll come back and do that later. We're on to the X carriage, and I like to put the bolts through a little bit first and then tighten them. It's easier than trying to fish it with the Allen key. The lead screw, you want to make sure it's tight, but you don't want it pressing up against the motor shaft. You want to have a little bit of a gap there. Make sure when you slide the hot end assembly on that you have the cables facing the right direction and that is mounted the proper way. And then once you have that on, put the top aluminum extrusion on and tighten this completely at this point. It was kind of hard to see, but when I put the lead screw on, it went very easily and there wasn't a lot of force that I needed to apply. And I head to the bottom and tighten up those bolts all the way. And I went back and I tightened up the Z motor mount as well. Feeding the belt can be a little bit tricky. On one part of it, you definitely need to run it over with the V-slot rollers. I know you have to apply a little bit of force. That's normal, guys. To install the belt tensioner, you do have to remove one of the bolts on the right side of the Z-axis, so pay attention to that. Install the Z-limit switch. Next, I'm just putting on the pneumatic fitting for the Bowden tube on the extruder side. Make sure you tighten that with the provided Allen wrench and put the little blue collet clip in as well. Next, we're doing the LCD screen mount, and it actually can pop off, and doing this can make it easier to mount since the screen is bulky and it can get in the way. This is just a nice little tip for you guys. Next, we mount the spool holder, making sure that the spool holder is facing away from you or the back of the printer. Securing the belt at the back side of the X carriage can be a little bit tricky just with the amount of belt that is provided. Sometimes you just need to loosen off the tension to give you that a little bit of extra to pull. This is what the belt tension should look like more or less. On the X, you do want to tighten it so that just a little bit of the bolt does peek through, and you're going to have a little bit of a twang on the X axis. The same thing for the Y. Generally, the Y doesn't need to be adjusted. Maybe tighten it just a little bit, but usually it's pretty good out of the box. Now, this is one of the most important things that people skip. You need to make sure to adjust all the V-slot rollers on the printer before you start printing. You want to adjust that eccentric nut until the wheel engages with the rail, but it doesn't have too much force. So I like to actually loosen this and then just tighten it slowly until it's at the proper tension. When you move it with your fingers, when it's tensioned properly, it will engage the rail and move the axis back and forth. So I just need to tighten it a little bit more, and then you'll see when I move it between my fingers, the rail is moving back and forth. Make sure to do both eccentric nuts on the Y carriage. Also remember to plug in all the motor connectors before you power on the machine, guys. This is another really common issue where people don't adjust the eccentric nut on the Z-axis, and you could see that the rail was actually sagging, or the whole gantry was sagging on that right side. The wheels on this left side were also spinning right out of the box and needed to be adjusted as well. So you can see once it's been adjusted, that slack has been taken out of the Z-axis, which is really important. Same story for the X-axis, guys. You could see how loose the V-slot rollers were right out of the box. We need to make sure to tighten those guys up and make sure that all the V-slot rollers are engaging the rail properly for smooth movement of the axes.
And just like that, guys, the Ender 3 V2 has been assembled and is ready to start printing once you've leveled the bed. The tension on the X and the Y have been set. The V-slot rollers have all been adjusted properly. The voltage is set correctly. The Z is moving smoothly. And now you're off making super cool things like maybe a Flexi Rex, maybe the Rocktopus, maybe it's a cool rocket launcher, whatever you want. That's the beauty of 3D printing. I really hope you guys found this information informative and useful. It really is important to build a machine properly to succeed with any 3D printer. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to subscribe. If you've got any questions, let us know in the comments, and we'll see you guys on the next one.